We've got a new proposal out of Washington this morning to ban stock trading by members of Congress. It's the first bipartisan effort in the Senate, and it comes at a flurry of similar ideas from both sides of the Capitol. Joining us right now is one of those lawmakers behind the new Senate plan, Senator Steve Daines, Republican of Montana. Good morning to you. It's fascinating to see this all taking place and to you joining hands in a bipartisan way on this. What do you think the chances are that this actually passes?
Well, you look at what we've proposed here, we're off to a good start. Here you've got a Republican from Montana working with a Democrat from Massachusetts, Elizabeth Warren. When you've got Steve Daines and Elizabeth Warren working on something in a bipartisan fashion, that greatly increases the odds. But look, Congress has one of the lowest approval ratings of any institution in America. The American people have lost faith and trust in Congress. When you're elected to Congress, you are here to serve, not to be served. When you're elected, you are here to serve the people, not the elite. And this, I think, is a step forward, an important step forward to restore the faith and trust of the American people in this institution.
Senator, one of the questions, and this is a very limiting program that you've set up here, including restricting blind trusts. Why did you restrict the blind trust? Because I think there are some people on the Hill that I've talked to in the past 24 hours that look at that and think that that's actually one step too far.
Yeah, well, we're going to have a good spirited debate about this. But the intent here is to ensure that members and their spouses are not trading or holding individual stocks and bonds and so forth. They can hold those in widely held mutual funds, ETFs. That's perfectly allowed. But the blind trust, listen, you put your assets in a blind trust, you're still aware of what assets were put in that blind trust. That's just the reality of it. And we're trying to reduce the conflicts of interest here. There's no perfect solution, but there are much better solutions. And what I think Elizabeth Warren and I have proposed here will be bipartisan, and I think strikes the right balance here of preventing these conflicts of interest.
Congressperson had raised the question about whether you could sell your assets or stocks on your way into Congress and then take that money and put it into a blind trust where somebody else could invest it at their discretion. What do you think of that?
Well, we've looked at a lot of different options. We've gone back and forth. We're trying to strike, again, a bipartisan bill. Again, when you have Elizabeth Warren and Steve Daines proposing something, that really, there's the spectrum of Congress, frankly. And so we've worked back and forth. We've spent a lot of time going back and forth. In fact, Elizabeth and I have been on the phone a number of times, as well as meeting face-to-face, building support and going back and forth. So I think we've got something that it actually could pass. So you have a lot of members out there proposing individual bills. Well, if they want to get a press release for the sake of an individual bill, that's fine. We want to actually make a difference and get something passed. I was in the private sector for 28 years. I was measured on results and outcomes. That's the focus here.
Look, we've talked on this program how all of us, journalists and others, and those in corporate America can't own stocks, especially when they're privy to inside information and the like. So this, to me, makes a ton of sense. The question I was going to ask you, though, is, what kind of conversations have you had with the likes of a Mitch McConnell or a Nancy Pelosi, and are they on board with this?
Yeah, well, I've yet to directly speak with Leader McConnell or with Speaker Pelosi on this particular bill, but I'm having several conversations with my colleagues in the United States Senate. Listen, there's an appetite for this, and I think once we get this introduced here, and it'll be imminent, we'll get this introduced, you're going to see growing support for this bipartisan. It's the only bipartisan bill that'll be introduced. Again, a lot of individual members are out there introducing their bills. This is bipartisan. It's taken us a little longer to put together this bipartisan compromise. This actually could pass, and I think it strikes the right balance to help restore faith and trust in Congress. The American people have lost it, and rightfully so.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.